expectations. So what inspired you to take on this theme in your books?
First of all, a very warm good afternoon to everyone. बड़ी ज़बरदस्ती से बिठाया और तालियां बजवा But I hope there is some great. अच्छा, ज़बरदस्ती नहीं है, दिल से आ रही हैं तालियां. Thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you so much for making time for this session. When I got to know about the age group, the students that are attending this session, I was even more kicked and more excited. So thank you for making time for me today and hearing me out. The performance that you all put, very thought after, thank you so much. But there's a perspective shift. I'm going to come to your question. But the performance that was put, it was beautiful, soul stirring, but the perspective was little different. And that's the stereotype I want us all to break. It was not the man who picked me up. I picked myself up. It was expected. Yes. That was the difference. The world will think that I got support, and why not? World becomes more conducive, becomes a friendly environment with everyone around in that environment is sensitive. But at times, your courage speaks volumes about your own resilience. And fortunately, in my case, with all humility, I was the one who was bringing smiles to everyone. So I was the boy in the entire performance, and I was calling up my mother. I was showing off my bald head. I was like, this is very cool. It's a very sexy look. Teachers, forgive me for my language. But so that was a shift in perspective, and perhaps that's the reason why I'm still talking about breaking gender stereotypes. Because it usually, when something falls, in fact, I was going to say something else, but seeing today's performance, it is not to take away from the beautiful effort that you have put. Really, really, thank you so much. And I'm glad you put this, because now you get to listen to my perspective. And I hope you all think from that perspective too. Usually when something befalls on a woman, the society thinks it's up to the man or the society to bring her up. Similarly, whether it's crediting her with something or even taking away, the entire shame of the society is on the woman. तो अगर society को बचाना है तो woman की इज्जत को बचाओ. And when woman wants to sort of own her agency, she wants to do things for herself, तो वो बिगड़ गई. I have my lovely, my colleague Bhavika in the car. She was telling me about her experience. And Ananya from your batch, she was telling me about her experience. And I think each one of us sitting here, whether we are women or men, but we would have seen, experienced or observed some sort of discrepancy, some sort of one gender being preferred over the other. It could be small, small incidents, but these incidents, they accumulate और एक वो बड़ी चीज़ बन जाती है. जो बड़ी चीज़ बन जाती है तो लगता है कि suddenly ये feminism की क्या wave है, ये क्या rebellious हो रही है. पर एक छोटी सी कहानी मैं इन्हीं को बता रही थी गाड़ी में बैठे हुए. मैं अपनी गर्मियों की छुट्टियों में अपनी नानी के घर जाती थी जलंधर. एंड वहाँ पर सारे अपने बच्चे इकट्ठे होते थे. मतलब पुणे से कोई आ रहा है, कोई चंडीगढ़ से आ रहा है. सो वी यूज्ड टू बी ऑल देयर 7, 8, 10-year-olds. But when we used to finish our meals, it was expected of me and my sister to clear off the dishes. And it was not with the men. Nobody questioned. I cringed, but I didn't know any better because I had seen my adults, my parents, my mother doing the same. In fact, I come from a very progressive family where both my mother and father have been working. छुट्टी दोनों को मनानी चाहिए थी, पर जिम्मेदारी माँ पे आती थी. And she never questioned, but I did. And in college, I was called a rebellious woman because तब feminism की wave नहीं थी. And अब लोग समझ रहे हैं there are even men who are feminists, and I really strongly believe in the cause because ultimately it's going to come down to each one of you. I know you are in this age कि जहाँ पर बहनें हैं वो irritating लगती हैं, जो माँ है वो गलत लगती है, बीवी के बारे में तुम सोच नहीं रहे हो, बच्चे तो भूल ही जाओ. But एक ना एक दिन तुम सबके साथ ये होगा. You're gonna have a sister, you're gonna have a mother, you're gonna have a child, you're gonna have a best friend, you're gonna have a partner, you're gonna have a girlfriend. So if you think the other women, I don't care about feminism, ultimately when it comes down to you, the sadness is going to come into your own house. So for your own good, wake up and call out something that you feel is wrong.
So true, so true. Definitely agree to what you said. And taking upon what you said about, the traditional stereotype of men picking up women. Recently on this festival and also at our organization, many people have spoken about their views on the different views on their idea of gender and gender roles. So I wanted to ask you, what is in your opinion, the actual idea of gender and gender roles in the film industry, which is more so known as a progressive industry. And while there has been a significant increase in the presence of leading female actors, producers, and directors in the industry, money, resources, and power are still associated with men. So, how do you think this can be changed, and what are your thoughts on this?
See, it all depends. It's a connected cycle. Question, I hope you all got it. You all are listening to the question that why is the money in the film industry with the men? Just clarifying, just putting the entire thing into one sentence. Now, I just feel everything is so connected, it's so related, and it all comes down to you all. Now, you will say, what is this question got to do with you all? Trust me, the answer lies with you all. You all are responsible for it. You will not buy a ticket to go watch, say, a leading film actress and she does a role of Pathan. So ticket शायद इतनी नहीं बिकेगी. So if you are not going to buy, if you are not going to watch, if you're not going to be interested in women playing main leading characters, how do you expect producers to spend money? Now, I also want to clarify there are a lot of women producers too. And I really wish that some of you plan to join the film industry, whether that's as directors, as producers, as writers, actors. कोई है जो यहाँ पर इंडस्ट्री ज्वाइन करना चाहता है? कोई भी नहीं. बड़े स्टूडियोस लोग हैं, एक दो जन तीन. This is I'm just so glad. Listen, the industry is very, very nice. In case you want to give it a shot, please do. There are a lot of avenues. You will become a DOP, cinematography, writing. Why am I selling my industry here? But any which ways. But there are a lot of women producers too. So let's say, I'm sure you all have watched a lot of serials. Ekta Kapoor, Balaji is a producer. Ashwini Yardi, Masaba was on Netflix. She is a producer. Netflix की खुद head जो है वो मोनिका शेरगिल है. Amazon Prime की जो head है वो अपर्णा है. All these are women in leading roles in an organization where they greenlight projects. But they can only greenlight projects if it's justified. So if you all are not going to pay the money to watch stories about women, how do you expect the women, the fees of the women to go up, and how does the producer justify the cost? So it's all related. Having said that, we did have a Gangubai. We did have Alia Bhatt, and that movie did phenomenally well. So thank you to all of you who watched the movie in the theaters, and I'm sure it was an experience for you. Give other women a chance too. I'm sure it'll be an experience.
That was a fabulous answer, ma'am. And on a lighter note, the fabulous lives of Bollywood wives is not something we see you fit into. And in the past, you have said that you have failed as a Bollywood wife. So what brought you on this thought?
Bollywood wife बनने के लिए क्या degree करनी पड़ती है मुझे पता नहीं है. What is the qualification? I was not prepared for it. I didn't know the curriculum. I still don't know which exam you have to qualify to be a part of this club. So I don't understand. I genuinely didn't understand when they said Bollywood wife, star wife, ये वो तो not taking away anything from the term, but I don't think the women have chosen these terms for themselves. It's the media, it's the public, and if that's how they see them, then they need to have another perspective. I'm sure there are a lot of shows, and now with Instagram and social media, they see women as more of who they are rather than the person they're associated with. I think when you get to know a person, you understand there's so many facets to a person's personality. And when you get to know that, you give the person a chance, you will understand that the person is much more than the star wife that you all call so.
Definitely. I think we all can agree upon the same. And directing the next question towards one of your books.
मेरे साथ भी जोक शेयर करो यार. पीछे क्या जोक चल रहा है? कुछ बता दो. यहाँ पर बोरिंग हो रहा है क्या?
Yes. So your book, Seven Sins of a Mother, not only normalizes mistakes in motherhood, but also teaches us to forgive ourselves and go easier on ourselves. So, why did you feel mothers needed to hear that, and how does the traditional Indian idea of motherhood fit into the 21st century lifestyle?
You know, I'm not just going to talk about mothers, I'm also going to talk about girls. Oops, can you hear me? Is that good? Yeah, so I'm not going to just talk about mothers, also going to talk about you all because this is the age where the guilt sets in. You are guilty. I don't know what is it with girls, what is it with women. You are just guilty forever. I think it's a part of our DNA. Guilty of not reaching home on time, guilty for not giving a call back to our parents, guilty for not doing the assignment, guilty, of course, होना चाहिए assignment के लिए, ना करने के लिए. But there's so many other reasons. Even if you're a mother, you're working, the father will not be guilty about him going to work, but the mother will always think twice or thrice. Trust you me, I have organized an entire schedule before I came here for my kids, but I don't think my partner does that. So, I think this is where things need to be worked on, and I needed to relieve myself of that guilt, and hence I expressed. I would not say that I have evolved so much that I don't still feel guilty. I do feel guilty. I'm sure the working moms here might just agree with me. There are 10 things which is going on in their mind. अभी भी मेरे को सुनते सुनते ये सोच रहे होंगे कि खाना क्या बनेगा, राशन कब आएगा, सुबह ये जाना है, ये ड्यूटी करना है. I'm sure all of that is running through your head. And that's what is our perpetual problem. So to relieve myself of that guilt, I expressed, and my way is of dealing with anything is laughter, is funny. I have a humorous way of dealing with situations, and hence the 7 sins of being a mother came. I'll give you a very example. I came across a meme, since it's the day and age of memes, and I saw that a father is, taking the child in a pram for a walk, and he's on his mobile. And so the people, what do they see? Oh, the father has got the baby for a walk. So sweet. But if the mother does that in the mobile, then she is, a mother who's not bothered about the child. A father who reads out a book to their child is, he's babysitting. While a mother does the same, she's doing motherly duties. How is he babysitting? Is he a babysitter? He's a father. When a mother goes out to work, she's a mother, working mother. But do we say the same thing for working fathers? It's a construct. It's obvious that the fathers are going to go out to work. These are the things that need to break. These are the things we need to acknowledge. These are problematic. बहुत छोटी सी बात है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Working mom बोल दिया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? It becomes a huge thing later on when after 8 o'clock at night you're not allowed to step out. All these small things lead to that, So it's very, very important for all of us to acknowledge, and again I would say call out. Don't be comfortable with all these terms, because I am not. I would love for you also to be uncomfortable with this.
I love how you portrayed the answer in such a manner. And as we speak about women and gender, let us step beyond the binary. And I wanted to direct our question towards the attention to some of your books, such as Sold Out, which explore the experiences of LGBTQ plus individuals in the Indian society. So how do you think writing can help raise awareness and promote the acceptance of such identities? And as an organization who holds conferences in 220 cities and 35 countries, we find it very difficult to break queerphobia in even in spaces that are meant to be of liberal thought, like schools and colleges. And we have faced resistance from parents and educators alike. So what are your thoughts on this, and how do you think it can help?
First of all, you guys are doing a fabulous job. The fact that you are talking about this, you're having communication, I think it's half the battle won. Any problem that you face right now, I feel communication is the best answer. Having a dialogue is the best answer, because it will trickle down to somewhere, some audience, it will resonate with someone, and it will become an action-oriented thing later on. When it comes to me, when it comes to homophobia or LGBTQ plus community and acceptance towards them, there are 2 ways I approach the situation. One is to make people in my immediate environment to explain to them with a lot of calm, with lot of, I have to exert a lot of self-control when I am talking to adults and who have no clue about LGBTQ plus community, and they call it a fad. it's very, very difficult to keep calm. It's almost like calling you heterosexual, oh, it's a fad. Fashion hai kya? Tum heterosexual ho. You know, it's almost like that. And I have to keep calm. But I do engage in a dialogue where I try to make them empathize that they are human beings, it's their sexuality, and you need to celebrate. Who are you to judge? They are celebrating. Tumhe kya farak padta hai? Secondly, then when it comes to children, I have actually sat down my son, who was at that time about 8 or 9 years old. I know it's a very young age, but that's where people need to actually share this. Of course, he doesn't understand sexuality, but he does understand compassion and empathy. And that's the only thing we all as adults also need to have. If we can't understand sexuality, at least have the sensibility to have compassion towards the community. And as a storyteller and a filmmaker, I aim to make stories when these characters, when these people are not treated as mere characters, you know, where I don't make a caricaturous situation. Till now, even in our Indian Hindi cinema, if you've seen, or Indian cinema, we've seen more or less, if there is a person from the queer community, they are portrayed to be a caricaturish version. There'll be a certain way they talk, certain way they're ham, certain clothes that they don't. Not everybody is like that, you know. And I aim to make stories where जब तुम क्वेश्चन नहीं करते हो कि यार ये हेट्रोसेक्सुअल है कि नहीं, जब आप फिल्म बनाते हो, मैं ये भी नहीं बोलना चाहती कि यार ये इज ही होमोसेक्सुअल और नॉट, और इज ही फ्रॉम द कम्युनिटी बिकॉज ही और शी और दे, बिकॉज आई एम गोइंग टू मेक द स्टोरी make the person the bigger person in the picture. The story is not going to just dwell on the fact that this is a sexuality or her sexuality or their sexuality, but it's going to hinge on the fact that what they are contributing to the film. Story kaise aage badh rahi hai. When I stop putting them in boxes is the day I would have won the battle. And that's how I aim to achieve through my art of filmmaking and storytelling.
You know, you mentioned about the conversation that you had with your son about homosexuality. So, taking upon that, what do you think can create gender parity and beyond the binary in literature and otherwise? And what do you think organizations such as ours can do more to break the
Same thing, no, I said the same thing. You guys are doing a brilliant job by holding conferences, calling people. I'm sure your 2-3 day festival has been a tremendous hit. And if you ask this question to every panelist with a different set of audience, imagine the messaging that would have sort of gone ahead. So you're doing a fabulous job. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for organizing. Big a round of applause for yourselves.
Thank you so much. Now I have a twofold question for you. Your book, 12 Commandments of Being a Woman, has been praised for its frank and humorous approach to issues of gender and sexuality. How do you think, how do you balance humor with serious social commentary in your writing? And do you think the Indian society still has a long way to normalize women embracing their sensuality and sexuality?
हाँ यार, पता नहीं क्या problem है. I don't know what the Indian society as such has a problem with women owning up their sexuality, with women wearing crop tops. Bhavika. No, we were just talking, we were coming in the car again, and these are the conversations that you pick on, right? You're an adult woman, you should be allowed to wear what you wear. If an uncle at night can go rubbing his tummy after a walk, women aren't supposed to wear crop tops, whereas they look aesthetically beautiful. Listen, I have a problem with that only. So this is a problem with us. We need to train our eyes, train our minds to look at women in the same way that we look at men, and for them to be given equal opportunities. I'm not even saying more opportunities. It is only fair. And since I come from a house where I have a daughter and a son, it's so tough for me to fathom, believe that the world is going to treat him differently, is going to treat her differently. Breaks my heart, and I want to amend this before they both grow up. I don't want them ever to realize there's any difference between the two of them. You can make that happen. Please do.
I think in our next few conferences, we will definitely take upon this as one of our major focuses. Moving forward, many Indian writers, particularly women writers, have faced censorship and backlash for writing about controversial or taboo subjects. And over the years, we've impacted over 5 crore students over the past 12 years with a team of 26,000 students who have led these conferences into 20 cities and 35 countries. But as many of these students have gone on to become a part of the ruling party, and many in the opposition as well, they find their voices to be stifled. So, what can be done to encourage more women to write and publish their work, and perhaps with an emphasis on how can we amplify the voices of marginalized communities through Indian literature?
See, it all boils down to us as consumers, us as audience. We should be okay. That's the reason I will not go into the political part of it. I will not go to it because all of us have diverse opinions, and this is more to do with voicing your opinion and having acceptance towards that, which is what I've tried to do with my book, The 12 Commandments of Being a Woman. There's a lot of things that could make society uncomfortable. I've definitely spoken about there is humor when it comes to kids, family, but there's also body humor, there's also sexuality. There's all of that I've spoken about. And I'm so glad you have my books to be signed and for you all to be read. And when this reading becomes comfortable, this writing becomes comfortable, I think it's an empowered society. So we have a right to opinion. You cannot like my book. It's absolutely fine. You can like my book, but you should not stop me from writing what I want to write. Freedom to express, right, should be there.
Definitely. I mean, that is what India as a country also believes in. All this said, you've paved your path in an industry to which you were an outsider. And like more conventional festivals such as these, where there are an echo of chambers and authors and as well as audience, there is also an echo chamber in the movies that you had to enter and make a place in. A feat you have achieved with panache and grace. Do you think we must have a greater level of democratization in cinema, and so even in literature festivals, to make them more accessible and inclusive?
Absolutely, it's a democratic society, it's a democratic country. Every job, forget my industry, every industry, even education, everywhere, I think there has to be an equal right for access to information, to education. It's a basic SDG right also, right? So it's a basic thing for each and every citizen, each and every person, forget man or a woman. So yeah, sorry, what was it again that you asked? I forgot, only lost track. मैं अपने आप से बोर हो गई थी.
It was about how can
you make it accessible,
yeah,
right?
more accessible
Yeah,
and
but
inclusive.
I don't know the process of making it accessible, but I definitely know it should be accessible because every job, every industry has a different way for making it open to the public. So I feel when it's education, I mean jobs, and whether it's parliament, there's 33% reservation. Now even in Hollywood, you have a certain percentage when it comes to the Oscar nominations, Academy nominees. There is a certain percentage which is reserved for women, which is reserved for minority community. So I think we have to acknowledge the fact that even women are not given as much privilege as a man would have. And also to change the perception of the society so that they're comfortable looking at women-led stories is why you have these reservations. So I don't know how do we do that, but it's definitely needed. Because there's so many stories about us that need to be told. Women are far beyond just a song number in a movie. They're far beyond being a lampshade in a movie. Very honestly, there is so much to us. There's so many layers. It's only fair if you get to watch. ये क्या हो रहा है भाई? और questions आ गए हैं? Cool. Now we're good. We're done with that. It's okay. We move forward.
Yes, questions were also.
Okay. She's like, what are these questions?
As a director and filmmaker, what kind of stories excite you? And what kind of stories or messages do you hope to see on the silver screen more and should be more in regulation?
Yeah, with OTT, I'm sure all of us here are Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar subscribers, and with IPL, Jio subscribers also now. Free mein to mil raha hai. So there's so much of content that we are seeing now. And as audiences, I think we are also now becoming attuned to see more stories about women. And I like, we've always seen dark comedy, we've always seen horror, we've always seen action, and we've always seen men lead it. But I'm so glad there are films like Chor Nikal Ke Bhaga, jo abhi aayi thi. There are also films like Good Luck Jerry, Mimi, I don't know if you've all seen this or heard of these at least. Gaslight भी आई थी पर वो gaslight हो गई. But मतलब ऐसे काफ़ी सारी फिल्में आई हैं पर आ रही हैं, मूवीज़ बन रही हैं, OTT पे आ रही हैं और हम देख रहे हैं कि औरतें इस किरदार को कितनी बखूबी से निभा रही हैं and we all are enjoying that cinema. So this is the future I want to see. I want to see men, women, everybody enjoying women playing different roles because there's so much we have going on in our lives that we are not just a villain and we are not just a heroine. There's so much in between. And I want all of us to see all of that in between. So, yeah.
And also,
अच्छा मतलब ज़रूरी नहीं है यार guys सेशन के एंड में मत कर देना तालियां.
also, I just wanted to connect this question back to your previous answer that you gave about, women having a specific quota in politics. Do you think it is necessary to have that? Because if we, like for minorities, you have segments given.
About that.
But do you think it is important to have that, or would it be better without those? In
have reservations.
yeah,
No, okay, sure. I mean to say.
if we're looking at equality.
Yes,
then-
definitely. So if for the betterment of our own society, of our own future, for peace to prevail, it is very essential to also tune the audiences and break stereotypes. At times it is so difficult to break stereotypes. Audience कहेगी हमने देखनी ही नहीं है फिल्में औरतों की, तो हम क्या ही कर सकते हैं? But that has to change and tweak. And so like how Hollywood has done, we could do the same as well. We could have a certain that this is, you have to, for the film nominees to come, you have to have a certain percentage of films being made by a female director. You can't ignore them. I'll tell you a very small instance. I was just reading 2 instances that I just read. One, last week, it happened in Ulhasnagar, where a boy, he killed his 13-year-old sister because she was menstruating. He thought she was having an affair. She didn't know any better कि मेरे साथ हो क्या रहा है. And before she could give an explanation, he killed her. Because there was no education about periods. Now, maybe men don't find it important enough to portray that in cinema, but trust you me, I have written enough about that in my books and my coming films. It is important to educate men and women. Is there a reason? Is this any reason? Affair bhi ho raha tha, to bhi kya reason tha? But what is this reason? You know? Forget India. World at large is patriarchal, majorly. There was this Madrid Open, which just happened 2 days ago. And you see the treatment that was meted out to the male athletes and the female athletes. The male athletes, when they won, they were given a 3-tier cake. And the woman who won, she was just given a 1 single cake. अभी बहुत छोटी सी बात है, केक तो दोनों ने नहीं खाना था एथलीट से, बट उसको क्या मिला और इसको क्या मिला. दूसरी बात, जब उनको फेलिसिटेट किया तो जो विनर था, मेल विनर और जो फर्स्ट रनर अप था, उनको माइक पे बोलने का मौका दिया गया. जो औरतें थीं उनको बोलने का मौका भी नहीं दिया गया. हम इक्वालिटी की बात कर रहे हैं. अगर कैसा फील होगा कि खाली 4 रोज़ जो हैं वो सिर्फ मर्द ले सकते हैं, बाकी की 4 औरतें क्यों? उनको ज़्यादा दिखता है मर्दों से. These are the things you need to call out. And these are the things can be called out through your own jobs. I am doing it through my job. I really wish you do it through your job, through your personal life, through your professional life. And yeah, coming to your question, things can be charted out for the women.
Thank you so much for that lovely answer. As a leader in multiple creative spaces, be it publishing or the movies, you also work with several creative minds. So how do you deal with creative differences in the workplace? And from a leadership point of view, how do you assert yourself while balancing the creative energy in the room?
I really function. I was a very hyper person. I don't know whether you'll believe me or not, or maybe you do. But in my 20s, I was, मतलब मैं पंजाबी में बोल सकती हूँ, मैं लेनी देनी एक कर देती थी. So I was very, very anal about my work and I was very hyper. मतलब मैं तुम्हारी जगह होती तो उसने शायद बेचारी ने 10 कॉल किया, नन्या ने, मैं उसकी जगह होती मैं 20 कॉल कर देती. I would have been harrowed, more harrowed than she is बेचारी right now. But that's what I was in my 20s, and I made life very, very difficult for people around me. I started my own PR organization, and I did really well there. Then, of course, I took to theatre, and I made couple of plays, but I was a very strict director. Plays तभी मिले बने चीज़ें तब भी हुई पर difference ये हुआ था I was not open to the opinion of other people. And so if my play was, or if something that I've done is level 7 or level 8, it could never go to 9 and 10 because I was not open to other people's opinion. And you can, but I was like, I'm okay with your opinion, but if I am going to scare the person out, मतलब उसको डरा के भूतनी बन के रहूँ और ऐसे डरा के रखूँ तो बंदा कुछ बोलेगा भी नहीं ना मुझे. So I understood with time that empathy, compassion is the biggest tool or skill that all of us can have. Any situation can be dealt with lot of calm, with lot of peace. Same thing can be achieved and in shorter duration of time. लड़ने में आप 8 घंटे लगा दोगे वही समझाने में 15 मिनट में बात खत्म हो जाएगी. This is what I have realized over a period of time. And also, yes, to be assertive. Lot of times when you go in my field of work, when you go into the field and there are a lot of men, at times somebody calls you Didi, somebody calls you Bhabhi ji, and I used to get livid. I was like, I am your ma'am, or call me Tahira, or I'm your director out here. I'm not any Bhabhi ji or Bhubi ji. So, so I have to be assertive, commanding my own respect, but at the same time, I need to be compassionate to understand other people's opinions because it's only going to make the project better. So this is what I have learned, my 2-bit.
Definitely. Last but not the least, how does it feel like to be at this youth-led literature festival organized by young people from across India and in a space as beautiful as this university, along with it being in a historic city as Vadodara?
Historic city, yes. Beautiful city. I saw a lovely Shiv statue while coming also. And while right now it's 45 degrees, so matlab historic city to hai par pasine nikal diye. The university is beautiful, yeah. As much as I could see, I couldn't even walk from the place that you made me wait to here. It's massive, it's huge. And the people studying here are so lucky. You have a gymnasium, you have subway, matlab, you have chocolate factory. मैं सबको check out करते हुए आ रही हूँ because I'm going to hang out there after this. So it's just so lovely, and I can't even begin to tell about the extensive curriculum they have. So congratulations to Parity University for having done such a fab job, and to all of you to organize this beautiful session and such sessions across. Like I said, how I began my interaction was for me, the most exciting thing about this afternoon was you all. When I got to know that this is the age that I'm going to be talking to, I was very, very happy. So thank you. It's always a pleasure to interact with students.